Hey, it's Yash, and now we're finally going to dive into some of the actual know-how in using HG Insights inside of Clay. There are a couple of different ways to use HG Insights. So in this video, we're going to cover HG Insights as a source, which means we are actually starting our data list by filtering through companies with a specific tech stack before we actually add any enrichments. The other methodology we're going to cover in some other videos later on will be how you can enrich tech stack from HG Insights on a pre-existing list of companies. But first, let's go ahead and dive in. Now, what I'm going to show you here is a Clay table that runs through HG Insights at a source as a basic level and show you a little bit of how you need to use the HG Insights filters to actually find the technologies that you want, how you can add firmographics in there, and then also talk a little bit about the cost structure. So let's get into it. You can notice we've already got an HG Insights source here. I'm going to show you how to get to this if you were starting from scratch. Number one, you would either add a new table and then immediately see your sources list. If you scroll down, you will actually see companies by product usage with HG Insights. And then if you clicked continue here, you would get into this entire modal that helps you filter down what the vendor actually is. So think of vendor as the company you might be looking for. So if you know you're going for Salesforce or HubSpot, you can automatically filter down by those vendors here. Let's just take Salesforce in this example. Then, if you know the product categories, think of these as the broader collections of types of products that Salesforce might have, because many of these companies offer multiple different product streams. So let's say, for example, I wanted to go into product category, let's say data management. Then I could look at what actual products from Salesforce fall into the data management category. We've just got two: the customer data platform and the audience studio. If I actually click out of data management, you'll notice I get a list of all the other Salesforce related company software here. And you can see there's a couple dozen already in here. So we get a real deep level of granularity just from vendor alone. But last and certainly not least, I can actually get into product attributes as well. So these are the specific slices of verticals that a product might have. So for example, customer relationship management would be a specific product attribute within Salesforce, which is going to narrow my products down to all of the Salesforce CRM related products. You can see regular CRM, CRM analytics, chat, AI, Jigsaw for Salesforce CRM, and tons of other products here. Now, the reason this step is important is because if I don't include the vendor, the category, or the attribute, I am just going to get a crazy long, infinite list of all the different possible technologies I could find in HG Insights. And you do not want to scroll through this. And also, I don't think we actually load every single possible technology here just for the sake of speed. So use vendor, category, and attributes at the best level that you need to be able to select the actual products that you want to look for. And then you can define a max products per company, because you may only need to find an indicator of one product or two before you feel ready to validate and qualify that account. And then we can also talk about the max companies to actually put in this list if we were just doing a general tool search. And of course, we then get into the hierarchy tier. So do we only care about companies that are HQs or corporate parents or domestic parents or lower level entities? We can even look only for companies using a specific technology above a certain revenue range, or within a certain employee count, or within certain industries. These are all of the different NAICS, HG Insights, SIC industry counts that you're used to. And so then you've got a bunch of other options here to keep customizing your HG Insights source. But just to show you what this looks like as an example, once you've built your source, like any other source in Clay, we can actually come here, edit the source, and look at what kinds of inputs we ran. And here you can see we looked at Salesforce. We looked specifically for the Salesforce Financial Services Cloud. We limited it to a max of 3 companies, or probably not specified since we got 6. We wanted to make sure that only companies earning 50 million or above came into our list, and then only companies with above 1,000 employees. So we're really looking at the higher end of enterprise here. And then we didn't add any of the other filters because we didn't need to. And from there, what we got was this list of just 6 companies that happen to meet our revenue criteria, happen to meet our employee count, and if I were to click on this cell, would give me all of the hierarchy tiers, all of the tech stack information, the identification of the Salesforce Financial Reporting Cloud that is important to the way that I'm building this list. So from here, you can see that we're then able to send this table data elsewhere and start to break it down, which we'll get into in some of our future videos. But before we do that, let's do a quick recap of exactly what we walked through here. We first covered you can go to the actions panel or you can add a new table. You need to get to the sources menu, and that's where you're going to find companies by tech or product stack with HG Insights. From there, you've got to filter through at least vendor, product category, or product attribute in order to be able to limit the list down to the actual technologies that you care about. Now remember that if you can't find the technology, you've got a couple of other avenues to make sure that it's actually not there or if it's a user error issue. Obviously, you've got the filters approach. If the filters still don't work and you just might not know what filters to be using, go to the discovery.hgdata.com website and look directly for the technology to make sure it's covered in the list of HG Insights. Hint, I have almost always found every technology I've been looking for through this directory. And of course, last but not least, if you can't find on the directory itself, just go to Perplexity and ask, does HG Insights have blank tool name in their database? And it will actually go index that core HG website for you. Then from there, think about all of the different ways in which you might want to filter this HG Insights as a source modal. You're going to want to think about the scope of your search. Be really rigorous in your max companies and products because you don't want to just be burning 8 credits per technology found for each of these companies. Then also think about product locations and other signals to think about the indication of the depth of adoption in each of these product companies that you're looking for. Look at the timing by doing first verified date, because that gives you an idea of how entrenched tools actually are in this company's adoption. And of course, if you can't find this tool, always troubleshoot via vendor, product category, product attribute, and as a last ditch resort, the HG Insights database. And then last but not least, just remember, because people do get shocked by this, it is 8 credits per technology found. So if you're looking for 3 technologies, and you find all 3, you're going to pay 24 credits for just that row. And if you only really care about finding one of the 3 technologies as an indicator of your targeting strategy, then cap the number of products found per company at 1 so that you are being as frugal as possible with those ever so valuable clay credits. And then we'll close on just a couple of strategic approaches you should be taking. You want to think about technology as an indicator of competitive displacement. Who are the tools that you stack well against? How can you go after companies that might be dissatisfied with those tools? Then number 2 is, what other tools do you integrate with best? What is the complementary tech stack that you know if someone has another software tool in their bucket, they would love to see exactly how yours complements theirs? And then the last piece is, what are signals of somebody being willing to migrate away from their existing tech stack? Is their last verified date a long time ago? Is the first verified date close to the anniversary of it around the year that you're looking for it? Because that's probably renewal time or close to. And you might want to time your outreach, time your conversation 2 to 4 months ahead of renewal so you can get ahead of the curve and be a trusted advisor to the people you seek to sell to. That's everything on HG Insights as a source. We'll keep digging into the enrichment and more in later videos. See you there.